Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Jeff Pilkington. This is Launch Industries. In this video today, we're going to be talking about consciousness and what it does and how it influences our decisions in life. And I'm going to show you a couple clips about consciousness and what some experts are saying about it and how they perceive it and what it could mean for the greater picture. I'm Jeff Pilkington. This is Launch Industries Now. And welcome back. So there's this book by the Douglas Hofstadter wrote called I Am a Strange Loop. And I was watching a video on it and reading some excerpts from it. And it talks about how everything we see and do in reality is, we see the big. Everything that we perceive is the big. But there's a lot happening underneath, which some would refer to the subconscious, that is very small, all the way down to the atoms. Within us, the molecules that can determine the bigger picture. And for years, physicists, cognitive scientists, psychologists have tried to understand what consciousness means and how it relates to that. And some people think that the brain could actually be a simulator of sorts that is perceiving what's going on in the moment, and that somehow what happens in each moment is actually, part of a bigger thing happening that we can't see underneath. And obviously this gets into bigger questions within the worlds of religion and, philosophy and psychology. But I think the big thing to know here is, a lot of people more and more nowadays are starting to talk about the idea that we potentially could be in a simulation. Now, I am a Presbyterian and raised Christian, so, that's my belief. But I think that the simulation theory is becoming more and more likely all the time. And the reason I think this is you have to listen to some experts on the subject. And the first expert that, I want to talk about is obviously Elon Musk, who spoke about how there's one in a billion chance that we're not in a simulation. I was watching this clip, this YouTuber Hidden Knowledge, who really posted an interesting YouTube video about it, and he talks about, or he showed a clip of Elon Musk, and he showed a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was interviewing this guy who's like this theoretical physicist named Sylvester James Gates Jr. He actually won an award for technology and innovation. But I wanted to show you these clips real quick about what these experts are saying to kind of, see what some other people, see what you guys think about it. So let's look at what Elon Musk had to say first. Here's Elon.
I think here's, the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, we'll have augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality, just indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So it's very interesting, 1 in billions that we're not in a simulation. I think it's a fascinating idea that could be possible. So that's the first one. And then I also want to show you what Sylvester James Gates Jr. said to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's obviously a celebrity physicist, we all know him, about the possibility, about what his findings are regarding this. So take a look.
Where has this pursuit taken you?
Oh my God.
Where have you landed?
Why would you ask that?
I'm asking you that here and now. It's New York City. It's March 7th.
Well, partly it's taken to these very strange images that are behind your head right now. These are pictures of equations. I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues here have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the Matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So you're saying, are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So,
wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code, you're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code, it's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory and in general in systems that we say are supersymmetric.
It's very interesting. You know, these are really intelligent people that I don't think can be overlooked. Now, the one other guy that obviously I'm a huge fan of, that I talk about him a lot and I share a lot of his things, is Scott Adams. He's an author. He was the Dilbert cartoonist creator, and he does a lot of periscopes and tweets. And he was talking about his theories on a simulation in a couple different clips. Here's the first one.
Explain what is a simulation. All right, I'll give you the quick explanation for the new people. So there's a concept that some legitimate scientists buy into, and I buy into. And I buy into it just because of the odds. You can't say for sure what is true, but you can look at the odds. And the odds are that we are a simulation and not an original, flesh and blood species. We're just in like a software simulation where we think we're real, it feels real, internally we're designed to believe we're real. And the reason that this is more likely than the alternative is that for every real species, eventually that species will get to the point of technical capability that they can build a simulation that also thinks it's real. But they won't stop with one. Chances are that once you get to the point where you can build a simulation of people who think they're real, lots of people will build them. Maybe robots will build them. Maybe the simulations will build simulations within themselves. So the idea is that for every real technically advanced civilization, there could be thousands or millions or billions or trillions of artificial worlds who all believe they're real. So I believe that our current civilization, if we were the original one, and it's possible, if we were the first intelligent species in all the universe through 15 billion years of evolution, it's possible, but we've already reached a point where we could build simulations that within the simulation they would not know they were anything but real. So it's already happening. It's unlikely that we got here first when there will be maybe 1 billion simulations for every real world.
So that one was interesting. And then he was in the middle of an interview and he said something that was actually from that book, from that same book, I Am a Strange Loop, where he talks about, his theory on a simulation. And he mentioned something really interesting real quick. Here's what he said.
So I was just seeing this this great video on the internet that was somebody who's explaining Hofstadter's book about consciousness and the eye.
Go to Lescherbach or Metamagical Themas or Consciousness in the Eye.
Yeah, the eye. Consciousness in the Eye.
Yeah, he has that one. Yeah,
and it was the smart way of saying things that I kind of was feeling, but didn't have the smart words to put on it. And the idea is that, and this is my bastardization of him, so don't blame Hofstadter for anything I say, but that consciousness is just the ability to sort of broadcast what's going to happen next, your expectations, and then judge how close you are. Judge the delta, and that it's that friction between what you think is going to happen in a moment and what actually does is all you're really experiencing. That's what gives you the feeling of reality.
So I think all of that is really interesting, and I think that we have to ask ourselves, like, what is the I? Like, there's a video about that I was watching where it talks about what is I. Like, we still don't quite understand the concept of self and what self really means and how our experiences shape our reality. But I think the best thing that a person can know regarding this is that you have to do what you feel in the moment, and that's the closest you can come to reality as we see it, as it is, because I believe that reality, we really can't see what's happening in the basis of all reality, aka our creator, but I think that we can come closer to it by paying attention to the way behavior dictates future events. And I've noticed I'm really good at that. I can watch what happens in society and see how people are perceiving and interpreting things differently. And if you watch how people perceive and interpret, there's always certain filters that are more accurate. And it can shift, every moment shifts like what the accurate filters are, but there are filters that reveal what is happening. So I find that very interesting, and it's definitely connected to consciousness, and it makes me think there's something bigger at play. So if you watch the way certain thinking and beliefs about anything shape an outcome, there can be patterns that develop in the way that we think. And the best thing that a person can do is stay positive and optimistic, because that's what's going to dictate the future the best. And you just want to have a positive outlook on life. That would be my best bet, because there is a lot to thought, and it's been proven that the way you think about things dictate how they are in your reality. So I hope this gave some interesting feedback as far as consciousness and what it all means. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like below. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you'd like. All my social media stuff is below. I'm always here every week doing some different videos on all sorts of things, from psychology to thoughts to consciousness to social media to living in this crazy 2018 world. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm Jeff Pilkington. This is Launch Industries. We are out.